Hi, this is Jack at Repair Spare Parts. Today we're going to disassemble and repack a Titan 840i. The pump section of this machine is very similar to the 840i, 840ix, 1140i, 1140ix, several Spraytech models, and some of the Titan impacts. At the end of this video, I'll give you a list of the machines that have the same pump section as this, and you'll be able to find the parts at our website, YouRepairSpareParts.com. First, we're going to begin by removing the top cover. The second thing you want to do is line up the connecting rod so you're able to push the pin out. The next thing we're going to do is remove the fluid hose and loosen the jam nut. The next thing we're going to do is remove the connecting rod pin that connects the fluid section to the connecting rod on the electric motor. I use a little brass rod, get it in position, and just tap it through until the pin comes out. At this point, you can unscrew the entire fluid section. Once you unscrew it from the housing, it slides right out. At this point, we're going to disassemble the pump into 3 sections. Take the first section and knock the piston out. Now we want to inspect the piston for any damage. This piston is pretty worn. You're not going to be able to see it on the video. However, it needs to be replaced. So at this time, I'm going to clean up all these parts and pieces, and once I have them all cleaned, we'll go through the reassembly. Now that the parts have been cleaned, we can knock out the old packings. Take a screwdriver, get it set on that packing itself, and just give it a tap. And they pop right out. You want to be sure to grease the inside of the cylinder, top and bottom, where the packings go in. The bottom one you want to put a lot of grease because the bottom one is a little more difficult to install. I take the lower packing, and on the inside diameter of the lower packing, you'll see grooves. You want to fill those grooves with grease. This will help the life expectancy of your packing. Then you want to get a lot of grease on the outside, around the 2 O-rings, so that the packing can slide right into the cylinder without too much difficulty. So we'll get some grease on here, get it good and set up. Check your packing, and you'll see at the top of the bottom there's a lip. The bigger lip goes inside the cylinder. And you could just tap it in using some sort of a press. Press is a good thing. If you use a press and put it down evenly with a little bit of pressure, you have a less chance of rolling your O-rings. You want to do your upper packing next. Again, take the inside grooves, fill them with grease. Get some good grease on the outside on the O-ring. Get that thing in place. And I generally use a socket, and I can tap it in with a hammer. There's a spacer that'll go in next. And then the packing nut screws in on the top. The next thing I'm going to do is prepare the piston. I put a Phillips screwdriver in a vise, put the pin hole through the through the screwdriver, get your Allen wrench, and remove the packing nut. Replace the ball, clean the seat, put the new seals on it, just a dab of red Loctite, take the new piston, put it on top of the screwdriver, through the screwdriver, put the piston retainer in, screw it down, at the hex wrench, put it in there. Tighten it up, remove it. Turn the cylinder upside down. Take the black cone that came out of the upper packing, put it on the new piston. Insert the piston into the cylinder. And I have a rubber mallet, and I just drive that piston right in there. Take your foot valve and the suction tube, put in a vise, put in the big ball, put in your ball cage, put in the seals. You take the white Teflon split O-ring, goes in first, and a black rubber O-ring goes on top of it. Take the second stage of your cylinder, pump cylinder, screw it on. Again, the white split O-ring goes on first. The black rubber O-ring goes on second. The piston guide goes in on the top with the bevel piece facing up. And then you could screw the top section of the cylinder that contains the piston into the center section. And screw on your jam nut. Make sure that the 4 ears on the jam nut are facing down. Tighten up all 3 sections. Want them good and tight. And now you're ready to reinstall the pump back into the machine. Now we're ready to reinstall the fluid section. I like to keep the piston a little bit shallow so that I can get a couple of threads of the fluid section into the housing. That way there's less chance of cross-threading the fluid section into the housing, which is made out of aluminum. So we do that, and at that point just pin it and then continue to tighten the fluid section. Get that jam nut all the way open. Put the fitting so that you can screw the fluid suction hose back on. Get the jam nut in place and lock the jam nut down. Attach the fluid hose. Tighten it. And we're ready to test. Now we can test the unit. Put it in some water, get our hose ready, turn it on. Looking for bubbles in the water, we have them. When the bubbles stop, the unit is primed. Close the prime valve, and the unit should pressurize. Unit is now fully pressurized. And we have 3,200 psi of pressure, and it's constant. There are a number of Titan sprayers and Spraytech sprayers that have the same fluid section or very similar, that this instruction can be used to do the repair on those as well. We will list a list of those machines, model numbers, the packing kits, and the pistons for them. They'll be available at our website, www.repairsprayerparts.com.